What up, peeps? So I saw Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, and it was better than I expected. Now, much like the 1961 original, this one is adapted strictly from the 1957 musical. So the film itself is not a remake of the original film, which lends to its own feel and interpretation by Spielberg. And it's safe to say that not only did this feel like a passion project, but Spielberg made a very successful adaptation, in my opinion, that once again reaffirms his strength as a director. Now, this film was positively received for being better than the 1961 original film. I can't agree with that entirely, but it does have aspects that are superior to those of the original, and this is mostly due to how advanced filmmaking techniques have become, and it gives scenes a certain sense of elevation and energy that the 1961 wasn't fully able to achieve at that time. The production value was off the charts in this one. The casting was overall very solid. The music, while mainly pre-existing of Johnny Green's original music score, still was very well executed and was implemented appropriately well. Now, much like the 1961, the music sinks in tightly with the smooth and well-coordinated direction of Spielberg. Spielberg's camera work is consistently slick, whether speeding up during the dance choreography or slowing down for the more heartfelt moments. The choreography was absolutely mind-blowing, and some of the best dance choreography I've seen in a while. Such a high degree level of energy and coordination. I mean, that dance scene in the gym, I could honestly watch that in a continuous loop because I thought it was that good. The performances are all great. Ansel Elgort was great as Tony, Rachel Zegler was phenomenal as Maria, and their chemistry on screen was highly believable. The entirety of the cast was very solid, and I couldn't really find a single weak performance. And this is what Spielberg is good at, communicating with the actors and really helping them tap into their potential. Now, if you haven't seen the original West Side Story, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you? Turn off the video and freaking watch it. I mean, seriously, dude, turn it off right now. You got like 2 seconds. The original won 10 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Art Direction, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Scoring of a Musical Picture, Best Sound. And I will say that the original is a classic film for a reason. I mean, it holds up incredibly well. I haven't seen this movie in a while, and revisiting it gave me a lot to appreciate about it. Sure, there are some flaws, like no bullet holes through Tony when he shot, and why Anita and Maria didn't pretend they suck at English when the detective was interrogating them, but it's still a very highly watchable film, and I love it to this day. The choreography is graceful and tight. The cinematography is still near perfect. The uses of color really helps communicate the story and the characters visually, and there are some clever creative decisions that I feel the 2021 version missed to build upon. The performances are all phenomenal despite the cast being, well, most of them being all white, but honestly could have fooled me. Now, I watched the 1961 film and the 2021 film in the same day, and I understand Spielberg isn't adapting the original film, but I did feel the original has dominating merits over Spielberg's, but the original has flaws that the remake fortunately does address, while still paying appreciative respect to the Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins film. One of the biggest flaws of the original is that it tells a one-sided story when establishing the racial tension between the Puerto Ricans and the Americans, or if you want to condense it, the Sharks and the Jets. The 2021 adaptation not only acknowledges this flaw, but they also broaden the backstory of the Puerto Rican struggles and bring it more to the forefront so that we can have a wider perspective on why the Sharks have tension against the Jets. And it makes the Sharks both flawed and sympathetic. Same with the Jets, as we see their economic struggle in a much more thorough detail than before. And while I still prefer the opening and introduction of the Jets in the original, this one still does help us see their struggle with stronger lenses. And the 2021 version, as expected, uses actual Puerto Ricans in this film, which was a no-brainer. But you have to remember the time the original was made. Of course, using an actual ethnic group was second to using all white cast members. They've been doing that all the time back then. But the 1961 film was heavily criticized for that anyway, so obviously they were going to fix it here. I love the scenes of the characters talking in their native language halfway through speaking English. It was very realistic and added weight to the drama of those scenes. I appreciate how they incorporated Doc in this film by casting Rita Moreno as his wife. The big fight in this film was much more grittier, intense, and dramatically effective than in the first one. Now, what are my issues with this film that I still feel the 1961 still one-ups it? Well, the original is by far the most visually appealing to me. See, the problem is Spielberg has this habit of shooting his films with this murky, dark color grading as of late. Now, not all of his films look like this, but when they do, man, you notice it. Muting the colors can sometimes just make the visuals almost displeasing, and sometimes it works brilliantly, like the gang fight. But the opening in the film left a mild negative impression on me. The 1961 adaptation is vibrant, elegant. I love the film's use of color throughout. I really like how Wise and Robbins visually communicate the moment Tony and Maria met by fading their environment around them. The opening is fantastic, mixing film, music, and performance art successfully. I felt Russ Tamblin's riff was a little more charismatic than Mike Faith's. It's only because I noticed small moments of restraint in Faith's performance, making Riff come off a little too uptight rather than having small animated moments by Tamblyn in the original. I also prefer Richard Beymer's Tony slightly over Egort's, and it's mainly due to Beymer communicating Tony's emotional fragility just a little better at times than Egort's. And it's not to say that Egort didn't have some amazing emotional moments, but it was just a different interpretation where I just preferred Beymer's take. But at least Egort could actually sing, and man can he sing.
All day I had the feeling a miracle would happen. I know now I was right.
But man, what they did with Bernardo in the remake was my favorite improvement in the film. Giving him a solid backstory that gave his character more layers than in the original was a smart creative choice, and it makes David Alvarez's Bernardo far better. I mean, I do like the charismatic intensity of George Takei's, but David Alvarez added such grounded humanity that was kind of missing in the original, and he came off more just like a ticking time bomb in this one, which I really appreciated. Now, I would say that Rita Monero and Ariana DeBose were on equal footing as Anita, and both equally knocked that out the park playing this character. Pacing wise, I feel the original is much better paced. Spielberg put a certain song a little too early in the film, and it made the second half of the film a slight drag. The reason why the song was added later in the second half was because it was the lowest point of the characters, so putting it earlier in a different context kinda hurts the second half, and one of the side characters' roles becomes less important, unfortunately. And lastly, there's a portion of the film in the beginning of the 2021 film that has Officer Krupke explaining how numerous ethnic groups were here first, acknowledging the origins of the Jets' ethnicities, and I personally felt like that was a heavy-handed scene of dialogue because it was subtly explained by Krupke in the original, and I just wish that it was a little less obvious in this film. Overall, I recommend both films highly. It doesn't really matter which one you see first, but both films have their own strengths and weaknesses. I still think they have their own high level of achievement when adapting the stage play. Now, while taking notes, I had a lot more I wanted to say about both films, so maybe I'll save that for a separate video. I don't know, put in the comments if you want that. So I will give the original a 4.5 out of 5 stars and the 2021 film a solid 4. Definitely closer to a 4.5, but minor setbacks prevented me from upping the rating. Alright peeps, peace out, love y'all, see y'all in the future.